Hello and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute, but we're back. I'm here joined by JACI. We actually just finished recording a whole video on her channel. It was like the first half of this Q&A, and this is gonna be the second half of the Q&A. So
depending on if you watch this video first, then it's the first half.
Yeah.
If you watch the second, then it's the second half.
Really, your fate is in your hands today. So we're gonna be talking about self-confidence, self-care, body positivity, and answering some questions because we basically know everything almost.
We're all knowing. We've discussed this before on our
Yeah.
podcast. We know everything, so we're really excited to share our
Little-
knowledge with you.
Yeah, little bits of wisdom just to kind of give you a look into all the things that we know about this topic. So we're really excited to, dig deep and figure out what your problems are and how we can help you. So we have some questions from you guys. We have some almost like basic questions, and we also have a lot of snacks. So
Let's get into it.
we're doing a little mini mukbang. I have these coffee cakes. If you guys have ever had Abe's, they're so bomb. They have a lot of like vegan, like nut.
Options.
Oh, what the?
What's that?
That was my ice cream thing. I got these coffee cakes. They're really good.
Chelsea provided us with the snacks today.
Yeah,
She went all out. We got the pepperoncinis on lock. You know the drill.
you know all the good things. I also got this Not a Moo ice cream mint chip, my favorite. And then I also got this with we haven't tried yet, but they're infinite coconut.
Dessert bars?
Coconut Bliss is one of my favorite brands, like one of my favorite plant-based dessert brands. Have you had their ice cream, Coconut Bliss? It's so good. Do you want to try one of these?
Maybe. Is it like melted now?
Yeah.
Is it? That's not even solid. Wait for the back in the freezer.
Literally.
Here, let me put that in the freezer.
I'm gonna try one of these coffee cakes for the second time, even though I already know that they're really freaking good. All right, let's
that
hop
is
into these
good.
questions.
That's real good.
Yeah. Okay. We all know that confidence does not come easy and is not a constant. Ain't that the truth? On a day where you wake up and don't feel the most confidence, how do you cope? How do you not let negative thoughts get in the way or overpower? What a great question. This is
I have an answer.
okay. What's your answer?
Two things come to mind. One, I feel like it's cheesy, okay? No one hate me. I feel like having my
But if you do, feel free to leave the hate in the comments section.
Cool. I feel like having my 5-minute journal, like the little gratitude journal, really helps turn things around for me and helps shift my perspective. I also, if I'm like really struggling, I've been doing this lately where I'll write down like the feelings that I'm having, and then I'll kind of like question those and say like, is that true? So if I'm like, I'm just feeling so like ugly and whatever today, and then I'll like really look at that and be like, am I actually ugly? Like, or why do I feel that way? And then it always kind of like can get clear and be like, oh, I'm just like literally on my period, my hormones are fluctuating, I don't, these things are happening in my life, and that's like causing me a little bit of anxiety, but like at the end of the day, it's all gonna be fine. Like, I'm not actually an ugly, worthless piece of trash. You know what I mean? So sometimes like really kind of like writing things out, writing your feelings out, and also being grateful for what you have, like that really does shift my perspective a lot. I feel like it's easy to focus on the things that are not working in your life, or like the reasons you're not confident, when you really like are grateful for the things that work for you. Even just the fact that you have, like, if you have a healthy body, it's like that's so, health is like and I were just talking about, health is number one key important.
Yeah.
It's like if you are healthy, that's such a blessing.
Don't take
it's
it
like,
for granted.
yeah,
100%.
it's good to focus on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say awareness is key, and bringing awareness to your thoughts, because your thoughts are your reality. That like makes up how you feel about yourself, how you feel about the world around you. So if you are constantly telling yourself these negative things and you wake up with those negative thoughts, unless you bring awareness to them, they're just gonna run amok in your mind, and they're just gonna cause a ton of chaos, and you're gonna continue to believe them. Because we have the same thoughts every single day. So it's like if we're constantly telling ourselves that we are ugly or that we are not worthy of people's love, then obviously we're going to start to believe that. So if you can kind of switch your thoughts and, like JC said, like ask clarifying questions to yourself, like just catch yourself and ask yourself, is that really the truth? Like, is this just a narrative that I've come up with? Is this narrative even serving me? Like, why am I protecting this narrative that doesn't even serve me? What can I do today to help myself feel better? How do I want to feel? Things like that. You'll start to notice that your thoughts don't hold so much of a
power over you.
Yeah, power over you, basically.
And it takes so much energy. Like, honestly, being negative takes so much energy, and when you shift to being more grateful and positive, you realize how much extra energy you have to, like, focus on the things you actually want to do instead of being, like, so exhausted all day because you're just, like, so anxious and negative, you know?
Yeah, you feel more in control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in what ways have you improved with your confidence, and in what ways can you still improve? I think I've improved personally in my confidence, obviously a ton with my own body image and how I view my body and, like, the worth that it brings to me. Has come a long way, but I think this happens with everybody. Like, everybody is going to have that one area of their life that really is hard for them to, like, overcome, whether it is, like, their body, or whether it is, like, their gifts, or, you know, school, or their job. It's like there's going to be something that is constantly stressing them out, that they're constantly going to feel that, like, low self-esteem in. And so if you can kind of figure out a way to tackle that one first and learn that lesson, you can start to umbrella that lesson to all of the other areas of your life where you're feeling low like that. So it's like, for me, it was body image first. And now, even as I work with, like, JC's dad, who's my life coach, I'll say, like, oh, you know, finances has been really stressing me out. And then as we're talking about it, I'm realizing I can apply the same
principles,
like bringing awareness to, asking clarifying questions, like bringing myself back to the present moment, and that also helps me in those areas. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, definitely.
Next question. Oh, in what ways can you still improve? I guess maybe I didn't really answer that, but
I think we can always improve. Everyone can always improve our confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I feel like I just made a TikTok about this. I was like, literally, it was like a few years ago that I realized I'm like, oh, I'm a cute person. Like, in high school, I always just kind of thought, like, I was just not, like, the picture perfect, like, tan, blonde girl. I don't know. For some reason in my mind, that was, like, what guys thought was cute or hot or something. So I just, like, grew up with this narrative of, like, I'm just, like, never going to be the pretty friend. Like, I'll be the funny one or, like, the nice one, but it's, like, I'm never going to be, like, the pretty one, which is just, first of all, it's, like, who cares about even being pretty? Like, it's just literally doesn't matter at all. But it's just crazy how when you decide, when you, like, just what you think is true. So it's, like, we always say if you want to be a hot person, then it's, like, just decide that you're a hot person, and you become literally more attractive because it's, like, that's just the energy that you put out. And when you're so confident, like, I think we've all seen it even in guys. It's like guys that are kind of like, oh, he's not that cute, but they're so confident and funny that, like, they become literally attractive because of that. And it's true for everyone. And I feel like, anyway, that's at least how I've improved, is, like, really being like, oh, I'm actually, like, a really cute, funny, awesome girl. And, like, I should own that and not just be like, oh, I'm just, like, I'm not super pretty, but, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because
I truly believed that, like, when I was younger.
Because then, exactly, you operate from that place, which is just never a fun place to operate from, that you're worthless. And I think in terms of, like, how, in ways that we still can improve, I think, well, speaking personally, it's never going to be a perfect scenario. Like, when it comes to confidence, there's the whole point of this life, I believe, is, like, progress and growing, and, like, learning the journey of it is, like, the fun part. Like, the destination doesn't even matter. It's getting there that you learn all these lessons that brings you so much joy and peace. So I feel like just constantly working on it day to day, like, we're always going to be improving, and we're always going to be working on it and finding new ways to feel better. Yeah. Basically.
Mic drop.
Okay, any advice for someone who wants to put themselves first but may not know how to start? Okay, this is a great question for, like, people pleasers, I feel like. That's what it's sounding like it's aimed at. Which I would consider myself to be a people pleaser, would you?
I consider myself that I used to be.
Yeah. Yes. Like, growing up, I always considered myself to be, like, very much wanted to make everybody, like, are you okay?
Comfortable.
Yeah. Did I hurt your feelings? Did I do anything that may have, like, made you not like me? Like, I wanted everybody to like me. And so I feel like when you learn how to do that from a young age, it just naturally sticks with you through your adult life. Yeah. And so it can be really hard to break those habits to now start being like, it's okay if I'm a little bit of an, like, this is what I had to tell myself. It's okay if I'm a little bit of an inconvenience to other people if it's not going to be like, I used to make it a huge inconvenience to me just to make sure I wasn't a tiny inconvenience to other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of switch that and be like, you know, if I take one more second to load my groceries, this person's not going to be like, that girl is such a B word. It's like,
and if
even if they are, it's like, who cares? I'm not going to have an anxiety attack at the checkout putting my stuff in my bag to make you feel more comfortable for one more second. So I think there's something good about people pleasers. I don't think you should like
shame
hate
yourself
yourself
for it.
because it actually makes you more of like a socially aware person. You're aware.
It means that you're sensitive towards other people's feelings, which is not a bad thing.
100%.
Yeah.
But I think so. You're actually at a head start because people will naturally like you more if you're trying to make other people feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll start to learn the boundary of don't make other people feel comfortable if it makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it can, again, become an exhausting part of your life where it's like, at some point, you're not even doing the things that you want to do because you're worried about what everyone else thinks. It really is the same principle as just worrying what other people are thinking. Like, not wanting, like, I think people pleasers even go so far as to, like, you know, not want to, like, post something on TikTok because it's like, oh, that might be cringy to some people. Like, and it starts to affect your life in that way where it's like, you can't even just, like, be living in your, like, own I don't want to say like living in your truth, but kind of. It's like you can't even just be yourself because you're worried that like, oh, that might like make people not like me or something. That's what I'm speaking from experience, I guess, or like from my own personal perspective, I guess, because I feel like for a long time on social media, I was definitely worried about like the judgment of other people. I didn't want people to think I was cringy or dumb or weird, and so I wouldn't show certain sides of myself because I'm just like, oh, like there's gonna be people who don't understand my humor and like I just don't want to deal with it. And now I've gotten to a place where I'm just like, it's like it's not my problem. Like if you don't understand my humor, it literally doesn't matter. It's like who cares? Then you're not my people, and that's totally fine. So it's like really amazing to get to that point, but I think it's taken me like. It just takes time. Yeah. I think a great place to start is to start to understand that nothing anybody else does or says is actually because of you. It has everything to do with them. Mm-hmm. And so I think people pleasers the reason they are people pleasers is because they take everything so personally. Like everything is a personal attack. They're like just making sure everybody is okay in the room. If someone gives them a dirty look, they think about it for like weeks on end and they just want to make it better. Yeah. But if you start to realize that person's not giving you a dirty look because you're a worthless human being, but because of their own preferences and opinions and their own there's so many things that go into why that person gave you a dirty look, has nothing to do with who you are or like your value as a person. Yeah. So if you start to realize that and remind yourself that, you're off to a good start. Okay. Oops. How do you remind yourself that you are a balanced boss every single day in a little or small way? Is there one thing you make sure you do for yourself every day? How do you remind yourself that you are a balanced boss every single day? You know what? This is a great question. Sometimes I do forget that I'm a balanced boss because I think we both can relate to this is when we have so many things that we're trying to do, we can get hyper focused on the one thing that we're not doing right or that like is not working when we forget about the other things that are going right. Like I do that constantly. Like we always say like we just forget about the podcast and like that it's literally been nothing but rainbows and butterflies and like just constant basically upward growth. Awesome. Yeah, and it's been so fun, more importantly. Mm-hmm. But I will like not even think about it for a whole day because I'm so focused on one tiny thing in my life that's not working out exactly how I want to. So I think kind of going back to what JACI was saying, gratitude helps me at least remember that I am a balanced boss, that I do a ton of things and that I don't have to be everything to everyone, including myself. Like I can just be grateful for the things that are going right. And, you know, I don't have to like be grateful for things that are going wrong necessarily. But know that it all is going to add to your life experience to become who you need to be. Yeah, and I don't need to hyper focus on it and give it so much of my energy. Yeah, I was going to say, I think just reminding myself that, like, the only thing I can control is my mindset and, like, how I react to things. Because I think for a long time it's been like my belief, you know, and I totally do believe in like obviously just the power of like positive energy and like, you know, all of that, but like I think over the past year I've really realized that like I cannot control, maybe the past 2 years, like that I actually can't control a lot of aspects of my life, like that I wish I could control. And because of that I've had to be less like, I don't know, yeah, because sometimes I feel like when you are of that mindset where it's like, oh, if I want something to happen, like I'm gonna make it happen. That's how I've always been, and then it got to like this dangerous place for me because I'm like why is this and this not working when like I am trying my best and it's literally not working. And so then I feel like I'm a failure because I thought if you wanted something you just have to try really hard and like then it works, and when it's not you're like, I felt like I was just a failure.
Yeah.
And so recently I've just been more like of the mindset that it's like I can't control my whole life. Like my life's gonna play out how it's gonna play out, but I can control my reaction to things and just my mindset behind everything. It's okay to have bad days, but at the end of the day it's like, am I really gonna live every single day, like you said, hyper focused on the one thing that's not working when there's a million good things in my life and I can't control it anyway? So it's like, what's the point of just, you know,
yeah,
like I said, you can have negative emotions sometimes, and I'm not saying be like a robot, but
yeah,
you know, you kind of can give yourself a little bit of time and then be like, okay, I'm moving forward with like a positive mindset.
Yeah, and reminding yourself again is just bringing awareness again. Like whenever you can bring awareness to negative thoughts or negative patterns or negative narratives in your head, then it stops those in their tracks so that they don't like run chaos in your mind, so that you're not constantly listening to those lies in your head and you're not letting them become your reality. So it's not wasting that energy and basically just turning you down the wrong road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is your current skincare and self-care routine? What does it look like and why is it important to keep it up? So this is a question that is great to have because today's video sponsor is Curology. You guys, if you'll start a podcast, you know that they've been our sponsor for a while now. I've been using Curology, I want to say, almost for a year now, yeah. And I'm obsessed with Curology. It's a skincare that I travel with. And I think I don't think I did a free trial. I think I just like started off with
like
the
full size,
yeah, the full size thing. Because I was ready. I was ready to dive in. You had great experiences with it.
Yes.
I'd heard amazing things about it. I'll kind of tell you how the process is, and if you go to the link in the description, you can get a free trial, free 30-day trial. You just have to pay for shipping and handling. But you basically go on, you take a little test, you take a couple selfies, and you talk to your dermatology provider. And they will set you up, if it's a good fit, with basically your own skincare routine. So I'm going to show you JACI's really quick.
Here.
Thank you.
Closer to it.
These are JACI's. These are not mine, but mine look pretty much the same. So we have a cleanser. This is what my cleanser looks like. I have a different formulated serum, and then this is the moisturizer. The best. Again, they're like perfect travel size. I always take them with me on trips. I can't live without them.
They're so simple.
Yeah, so I do my cleanser in the morning and then my moisturizer in the morning, and then I only do my serum at night. So I'll cleanse and then do the serum and then moisturize at night. And everyone has different skincare or skin concerns, I guess. My skin is a little bit more on the oily side, but I also have a lot of sun damage. So I feel like I do have more fine lines than most people at my age because I was a lifeguard in Arizona for many summers. And so I was absolutely fried for days on end. And I remember it well.
You were always sunburned.
Yeah, I was always sunburned, always very tan, probably too tan for my own good. And my face, I could always feel was just kind of like leathery, which is
not the vibe we want.
Yeah, so I always want to target my fine lines. So that's kind of what my serum and my routine is aimed at, which I feel like my skin is so supple. After I started using Curology, I didn't even realize how much of a upgrade that my skin actually needed. I actually got my little brother hooked on it as well. He was like, hey, I'm having really a lot of trouble with my redness and I'm having trouble with acne, and he was always trying these different companies.
Wait, I should give that to my brother, or I should tell my brother about that.
Really?
Because he has some redness.
Interesting that you haven't told him yet.
No, I think actually my older brother,
Oh.
My younger brother, but I'm like, you don't know my younger brother?
Your older brother?
No,
Sorry.
my younger brother, the oldest of the two.
Oh.
I think he was going to do curology, but anyway, long story. He left on his mission and whatever, but.
Yeah. So I told him
Good
about
idea.
it, and sent him a free trial because he was on his mission and he was having trouble with it because he was in a different climate as well.
Oh, and you're like, yeah, he was on his mission. I still.
Yeah, I'm like, I still came through as a good older sister, but no, my mom actually asked me. She listened to the podcast. She's like, okay, I need to try out this curology thing, and I was like, you absolutely need to. So if you want to, click the link in the description. Go get yourself some curology if you're wanting to help your skin issues. JACI talked about her journey with skin, which was really good. She's had a different experience.
I have acne.
Like, she had it way worse. No, I'm kidding. But check it out for yourself. You will not regret it. But anyways, back to the initial question of my routine, now that I told you what it is, and why it's important to keep it up. I think while, face masks and skincare is a big part of self-care, there also is a lot of other stuff to self-care, like bringing awareness to patterns and, more mindset things. But physically doing things like working out, like having a skincare routine, like having any kind of wellness routine, it helps you feel like you are in control of your life. Yeah.
And it's that little reminder that, like, I'm taking care of myself. Like,
yeah.
I'm, putting myself...
I'm putting effort into
myself. I'm putting priority on myself and my well-being and everything, which is going to then affect you in every other area of your life as well.
Exactly.
Like, it's going to positively affect everything else. When even, I didn't say this in my video, but like even when I did become more confident in my skin, literal skin, because I was having acne, and then when I was using curology and it was clearing up and really treating it, it's like, then I was even more confident to like vlog and take photos, and like I was able to do more things confidently, which then made, like, it brought new opportunities, you know what I mean? It like stems into all this stuff.
Yes.
So much deeper than just like
exactly. And it's not even like we're looking for perfection with anything. It's like with your fitness journey or with your skincare journey, you're not looking for that perfect skin or that perfect body. It's just like whenever you feel like you're progressing, you feel confident and you feel like I want to go out and do more things because I know that I can. Like,
totally.
I've proved to myself that I can do what I say I'm going to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, some more little questions that we got from you guys. We'll answer a couple. What's one thing about your body you've grown to love, and how? This is a tricky, good question. I was going to say, it's
like,
so
how do I choose? I have so many. No. This is something I'm still working on, so I'm not going to act like it's perfect. But I would say my arms have always been like one of my insecurities, because I feel like I'm like more of a petite person, and I feel like in proportion to the rest of my body, they're like the biggest part. Like I have a lot of friends.
You just didn't like them.
You just didn't like them. Like, I have a lot of friends who have like really just like tiny, very, I don't know, thin arms, and I was always like, why are my arms like, why are they like big? And my mom would always say that too, because my mom, we like that we're very similar in that way. We're like, we're actually very strong, and our upper bodies are pretty strong. My mom was like in high school, she's like, I won the pull-up competition, like. So anyway, and my mom like worked on the ramp as a
I thought you were gonna say worked on the ranch, and I'm like,
I worked on the ranch. Well, that too as well. But on the ramp as a, what's it called, like slinging suitcases like at the airport, and she like got so literally like ripped from it. Anyway, I've always just been insecure, like when I'd wear tank tops. Still to this day, that's why I'm saying still is somewhat of an insecurity, because I'm just like, why do they look like big? But I've grown to be like, oh, that's like, actually my arms are really strong. When we started climbing, I like realized that my upper body was like really strong, and I'm like, why is that something that I'm like, oh, it's like, that's really cool that like I'm strong, that I can do push-ups and like rock climb and whatever. And I think the older I've gotten, the more I realize that it's like, I really am so grateful for just my body, what it does for me. It's like, I was saying the other day too, like I was on a hike, and I'm like, the fact that I'm walking up a mountain right now, like, it just takes away all of the like, oh, my legs aren't that cute, because it's just like, I'm walking up a freaking mountain, like, that's amazing. And we should focus more on what like our bodies are doing for us, and like all the amazing things that they are, instead of just being like, oh, they don't look that cute in a tank top. You know?
And it also is weird, because I think as girls we always use that word, like we'll be like, oh, I'll say the same things like, oh, my hips are just too big, and it's like, again with the clarifying questions, like, why do we think big is bad? Like, why do we think, oh, it's big, therefore it's bad, when it's like, that's just a narrative that we've told ourselves.
And that the media has probably put in our
for
heads.
sure, but we've chosen to accept it. We've chosen to, like, have it
associate big with bad.
Yeah, and it's like, why? Okay, my hips are big. Just okay.
It just is
what it is. Yeah, because I think there are definitely, even with my nose, I said the same thing. Like, oh, my nose is just like not feminine. It's not like small. It's like, oh, it's a little bit more like pointy, and people used to make fun of it. And then at a certain point, I kind of realized the same thing. I'm like, wait, why is that bad though? Like, why do I think that? Why do I associate this adjective with bad, whatever it is?
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to be bad. It can still be this thing. I don't need people to lie to me and tell me that I do have like a button nose. It's like that doesn't have to be good or bad.
No, it doesn't have to be the good type of nose is that.
So as soon as you realize that, it's like you kind of can make, like, I feel like I had moments where with certain areas of my body, like even my hips or other things that I was insecure about, like my nose, I would have like these moments where I feel like we like made up, where me and my nose were like, hey, my nose was probably like, thank you, I've been on you for your entire life. I've just been waiting for you to like be okay with me.
Accept me.
Yeah, and finally it's like, oh, now I don't even think about it when I have, you know, when I used to have videos or photos taken of me in my side profile, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, I just hate that. Don't get that photo of me. And now it's just like, well, why do I think that's bad, that it looks like that? Why can't it just be like, that's the way I look? And it is the way that I look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think how, because that was the second part of the question, is clarifying questions and awareness will bring you lots of peace, because you can start to kind of point out all of these almost toxic narratives you have about yourself, that you are the one that's enforcing that.
Right.
That's the truth to you, but it doesn't have to be.
True
Okay,
that.
next question. Let's have this be our last question.
Okay.
Oh, this is a good one, I guess. It's a little broad, but how do you, let's do this one. How do you respond to friends' negative comments about their own body? I actually get this question a lot. Like, hey, my sister, I think, might have an eating disorder. She talks about herself negatively all the time, and sometimes it starts to, if you're not in a good place yourself, it affects you, because if you hear someone else say, you know, if I see someone with the same nose as me saying, I hate my nose, it's so big and ugly, it's like, I'm going to think, oh, she has the same nose as me, maybe I should think this way as well. What do you think about that? Like, if one of your friends is like, ew, I just look so, like,
well, I was going to say, like, I'm definitely not, like, I feel like I definitely complain about things, too, so I can't be like, oh, yeah, that's the worst. Like, I do that. But also, I was going to say, like, whenever, I can truthfully say this, it's like, whenever a friend of mine says something like that, like, oh my gosh, I just, like, don't look good in this, I'm always like, wait, yes, you do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just our own worst critic, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I never think about these insecurities, like, when you're like, oh, my hips, I'm like, I've never thought that about your hips.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I think you have a great body. I think all of my friends are literally gorgeous, and so it's like, when I hear people say that kind of stuff, I'm just like, oh, like, to me, it's like, I've never thought that about you, therefore, I feel like that should tell you a lot. It's like, other people aren't hyper-focusing on the things you don't like about yourself, and if they are, then it's like, they're very unhappy, so, I don't know,
that's what I was going to say, even when you were talking about your arms, it's like, isn't it so funny how, like, specifically critical we are of ourselves?
Yes.
Like, no one, it's like, same thing, I've never, from years of knowing you, thought like, oh, your arms are big, like, oh, JACI with the big arms, like, it just never occurs to you, and then when you bring it up all the time, it's like, then you start bringing attention to other people that it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think when other people say stuff, it's hard, because saying like, no, you don't, you are beautiful, you should have better body confidence, like, shitting on them doesn't ever help.
Yeah.
They're obviously not feeling well, so the only thing you can do for them is kind of like have space for them. You don't have to, this is the one thing not to do, I guess, is if someone says like, I feel so fat, or like ugly, is to be like, no, you don't look fat, you do not look like that, because then that pushes that narrative again, that like,
that's
big
bad.
is bad, where it's like, you can just be like, I think you look beautiful in that dress, like, you look stunning, like, I think, you know,
you look great.
It's more of like the
reinforcing positive instead of drawing attention more and more to the negative, I think.
Bottom line is, we cannot force anybody else to make a change with their own self-confidence. The only thing we can do is like provide space for them, and be a good friend and a good listening ear.
Even validation can really only go so far. It's like, they really have to find that within. Like, I feel like my friends can tell me as many times as they want that, like, they think I look good, but it's like, at the end of the day, until I really believe that, it doesn't really help that much, shockingly. You know, it's like, obviously you want to surround yourself with friends who are uplifting you and not literally reinforcing bad things to you. But I'm just saying, like, that's something that you really, confidence is such a personal journey that you have to find from within. And it's really not something that, like, I don't want to say you can help people with, but kind of.
Yeah, it's you're there for them. You accept them for where they're at. And that's all you can do. And also, it kind of reminds you to be a good example to them, because it's like, if you see somebody else talking negatively about themselves, like, only you do is be a good example to them as well. It's like, that's the only way to somehow maybe create, like, spark something in them, where it's like, again, like I was kind of talking about in JC's video, we were talking about certain influencers who helped, like, the body positive space, and I was saying, the influencers I think of don't necessarily talk about body positivity. They just are themselves, and they'll show parts of their body that I can relate to, that I maybe have been insecure about, but they don't seem to care. And so it makes me feel like, oh,
you don't need to care.
I don't need to care. They don't care. Like, why should I care too? So if you're a good example and you just don't talk about it, you don't talk about your body and, like, how you wish it was this way or this way, it'll help them.
Yeah. I feel like what I've been trying to consciously do is not comment on anyone's body. Like, even if I see someone on, you know, if I'm, like, with my friends and I see someone on Instagram, not that I would ever in a million years say, like, the only thing I would truly, like, say would be, like, oh my gosh, like, in a good way. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, how does she have, like, that ratio? Like, her waist is tiny.
Exactly.
Like, I would never say something negative about someone, but I feel like I'm even trying to stop doing that, because it just doesn't matter. Like, that is truly the least important thing, is, like, what your physical appearance looks like. It's like, it just doesn't matter. And we shared that thing on our Hot Girl Summer episode about how, like, at the end of the day, no one's gonna be like, oh, she changed my life because, like, she was so fit. It's like, you change people's life because of who you are inside. And it's like, that just, the body thing, it truly doesn't matter as long as you're happy and healthy with yourself. And so I've been trying to just, like, refrain from talking about people's bodies, period. Good, bad, anything. It's just, like, it's just a body. Like, it's great. Everyone's is. So there's no need to be, like, hyper-focusing on it at all.
Totally. And I think we try to make our bodies the most interesting thing about us, because it's, like, a natural thing that society and the media has told us, like, as women especially, like, the way you look is everything, but it really is, like, the least interesting thing about you as a person is, like, what you look like on the outside compared to everything that's inside. Like, there's so much good inside of everybody, and, like, so much potential that we waste a lot of it because we're so concerned with, I do that a lot too. It's like,
waste energy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I want to look the best that I can on the outside, and, like, put so much money and resources and time and thought into the, like, what I look like on the outside, when it's like, again, we're almost focusing on something that just doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, totally.
So, any other last minute thoughts? Because that was the last question. Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't watched JC's video yet, go to her channel and subscribe to her. Maybe we can get you to a certain number.
100K. I'm on the road to 100K, baby.
Come on, you guys. I know we're few and far between followers, but we can do it, okay?
Guys, get Chelsea to 15K. If you're watching this, that's our goal.
Anyways, if you want to subscribe, you want to listen to our podcast, it's at What We Said Podcast on Instagram.
Check it out. You'll love it.
Check it out. Our feed is popping right now.
Hot Girl Summer's in full swing. That's all I'm going to say.
The episodes have been fire. And check out Balance Boss. And there's just so many things that we're doing.
There's so much stuff. We're just, we're swamped.
We're just Balance Bosses. So if you guys, actually I think that's it. Thank you. Bye.